The great silver ship landed on Earth with a loud hum. 3 alien girls stepped out, tall and elegant, dressed in glowing robes. They were princesses from the Zalari Empire, a race known for their pride, beauty, and strict eating habits. Their names were Thalara, Valen, and Zira. Their skin shimmered softly like moonlight and their eyes glowed like stars. They came to Earth as part of a peace exchange program. Waiting at the landing pad was a human diplomat named James Miller. He was a calm man with short brown hair, wearing a neat black suit. He smiled politely as the girls approached. "Welcome to Earth," he said, offering his hand. Thalara looked at his hand, blinked, then spoke in a cool voice. "Do humans still greet with skin contact? How primitive." James kept smiling. "Well, we also say hello with food. Are you hungry?" Velen rolled her glowing eyes. "We eat nutrients, not whatever you call food." James didn't reply. He simply led them to a sleek EarthGov hovercar and drove them to their guest home. The princesses looked around at the green trees and blue sky with bored expressions. Inside the guest home, James pressed a button. A warm smell filled the air, melting cheese, garlic, and baked dough. Suddenly, the door opened. A delivery man walked in holding 3 large boxes. "What is that smell?" Zyra asked, covering her nose. James opened the box and smiled. "This is pizza." He lifted a slice. Hot cheese stretched in long strings. The crust was golden, and pepperoni glistened with oil. Thalara frowned. "That is disgusting. It's shiny and flat. Why is it greasy?" James laughed. "You don't have to eat it, but this is one of Earth's greatest creations." Valen sniffed the air and groaned. "It smells like melted plastic mixed with dirt." Zyra added, "I bet it tastes like burned fungus." James placed the boxes on the table. "Suit yourselves." He sat down and took a big bite. The cheese stretched. He chewed slowly, his eyes closing in delight. Perfection. The princesses watched in horror as he took another bite. Thalara crossed her arms and said, "Humans eat such strange things. I feel sorry for your digestive systems." James only smiled and kept eating. But what he didn't notice was Thalara watching his hands closely. Her nose twitched. She turned her face slightly so the others wouldn't see. The smell was odd but not horrible. It was warm, inviting, even comforting. "I don't care how many planets your species has," James said with a grin. "Until you've tasted pizza, you haven't lived," Valen scoffed. "I'd rather eat bark from a flame tree." James chuckled. "That's fair. But if you change your mind, it's right here." The rest of the evening passed with light conversation. The princesses explored the guest home, asking about human technology and laughing at Earth's simple ways. But something strange happened that night. At midnight, the house was quiet. James was asleep in his room. Soft footsteps moved across the hallway. A shadow entered the kitchen. It was Thalara. She walked up to the counter and opened the box, slowly. The pizza was cold now, but the smell still clung to it. She stared at the slice. Her fingers hovered above it. "No one is watching," she whispered to herself. She picked up a slice. The cheese stuck to the cardboard. She took a tiny, cautious bite. Her eyes widened. Her pupils grew large. It was warm. Even cold, it was soft and rich. The cheese melted on her tongue. The crust was chewy, the sauce sweet and sharp. She looked around, then took another bite. Then another. A few minutes later, the whole slice was gone. She licked her fingers without realizing. Then she took a second slice. She didn't stop until only one slice was left. Before returning to her room, she wiped her mouth and straightened her robe. Her face returned to its cold, royal look. The next morning, James entered the kitchen and paused. He looked at the pizza box. Only one slice left. He smiled. He checked the security cam quietly and saw a clip of Thalara in the kitchen, eating with both hands like a hungry child. He chuckled softly. "Oh, princess," he whispered. "I think we just found your weakness." He closed the box and made a note on his tablet. Tomorrow, pizza party. Let's see what happens next. Thalara sat at the breakfast table, arms crossed, face calm, like nothing had happened. The morning sun poured through the wide windows of the EarthGov guest house. Birds chirped outside. James sat across from her sipping black coffee. He tapped the table gently. "Good morning, Princess. Sleep well?" Thalara nodded coolly. "Your air is heavy but tolerable." James smiled and opened the pizza box from last night. Only one slice was left inside. He looked up. "Strange. I thought I had more." Veline entered the room, yawning. "What's that awful smell again?" Sira followed her, wrinkling her nose. "Oh no, not that circular grease food again." James shrugged. "It's just leftover pizza. Someone seemed to like it." Thalara didn't blink. She sipped her nutrient drink slowly, pretending not to care, but her fingers were trembling. Just a little. The taste from last night still haunted her tongue. That mix of cheese, tomato, and bread, soft and warm. It kept coming back in waves. Her stomach growled quietly. She covered it with a cough. James stood and stretched. "I'll be going to the Human Culture Center today. You're welcome to join me. We're doing a food tasting event." Valen rolled her eyes. "More of your cheese circles?" "No," James replied. "We'll have ice cream, noodles, and something called chocolate." Valen and Zira shrugged and agreed. Thalara stayed quiet, but her eyes followed the pizza box. Later that day, the culture center buzzed with noise and lights. Booths lined the walls with colorful earth foods. Humans laughed, offered samples, and told stories. The alien girls walked through the crowd, like tall, glowing statues. Everyone stared, some clapped, some took photos. At the far end of the hall, James waved them over to a small booth. A friendly old man stood behind it with a white hat and flour on his hands. "Girls," James said, "this is Chef Emilio. He's been making pizza for 50 years. Emilio smiled. "Welcome, your highnesses. I made something special today. Triple, cheese, roasted veggie, and hot pepper delight." Valen sniffed. "Spicy? Why would anyone want their tongue to burn?" Zira smirked. "Do humans enjoy pain?" Thalara stepped forward slowly. Her eyes locked on the steam rising from the fresh slices. Her mouth went dry. James raised a slice and offered it. "Just try one bite," he said. "For diplomacy." My other two girls scoffed and turned away. Thalara stared at the slice in silence. Then slowly she took it. Her hand trembled slightly. She took one bite. The taste exploded in her mouth. The crust was soft, the cheese rich, and the peppers burned. Her tongue, but in a way that made her feel alive. Her legs felt weak. She swallowed hard. Then she took another bite. A bigger one. Then another. James and Emilio watched in amusement. Valen turned around and stared. "Wait, are you eating that again?" Sira's jaw dropped. "Thalara?" But Thalara didn't stop. She finished the whole slice in seconds, breathing heavily. Then she grabbed a second slice without asking. Valen and Zira rushed to stop her. "You said it was disgusting." "I lied," Thalara whispered, mouth full. James raised an eyebrow. "Is everything okay?" Thalara's face flushed purple, Zilari color for shock. She wiped her mouth and glared at James. "What did you give me, human?" she asked in a low voice. This isn't just food. It's something else. My head feels light. My body feels warm. I dreamed of this last night. What have you done?" James raised both hands. "It's just pizza." "No," she whispered. "There's something inside. Something powerful." That night, back in the guest house, Thalara sat in her room alone. The curtains were shut. Her fingers tapped the table. She looked up the ingredients James gave her. Dough, cheese, tomato sauce, herbs, but it didn't make sense. No alien food ever made her feel this way. No royal banquet ever stayed on her tongue so long. She stood up and went to the mirror. Her eyes were glowing brighter than normal. She didn't look like a princess anymore. She looked human. Meanwhile, in his room, James made a note in his log. Subject: Thalara shows signs of obsession. Not dangerous, possibly addicted to pizza. He leaned back in his chair and laughed quietly. Tomorrow would be even more interesting. He had just sent out invitations to a pizza party, and this time, he was bringing 5 flavors. The next evening, the guest house living room glowed with soft lights. A long table stood in the center, covered with boxes of pizza. Each box was labeled in bold letters: Spicy Inferno, Sweet Hawaiian, Triple Meat Overload, Extra Cheese, and Mushroom Delight. James stood near the table, looking far too proud of himself. "Tonight," he said, "you're invited to Earth's most important diplomatic event, a pizza tasting party." Valen raised an eyebrow. "Pizza again? Are you trying to poison us with oil?" Zira crossed her arms. "No thanks. I'm not putting that inside me." Thalara said nothing. She stared at the boxes like they were treasure chests. James stepped forward with a grin. "This is all voluntary, of course. You may observe or participate." Valen sighed. "Fine, but only to study your species. Strange food rituals." Zira smirked. "For science." Thalara nodded slowly. "Yes, study purposes only." James lifted a slice of sweet Hawaiian, cheese, tomato, and yellow fruit. "This one," he explained, "has pineapple on it. It's controversial." Valen laughed. "Fruit on flat bread? That's madness." Thalara reached out before anyone else and took the slice. She bit in. She closed her eyes, and for a moment, her entire body went still. A soft sound escaped her lips. "Oh." Valen and Zira stared at her. James looked at them. Next, they grabbed slices without another word. Soon the table turned into chaos. 3 alien princesses stood over 5 boxes, each one chewing, sniffing, tasting, and talking over one another like excited children. "This one tingles my mouth. This one makes my brain buzz. What is this black thing? Olive? I like the thing called sausage. It feels bold." James sat back and watched the show with quiet amusement. 20 minutes later, the room looked like a small food war had happened. Empty boxes. Greasy fingers. Cheese stuck to velvet robes. Thalara leaned back on the couch, a satisfied glow on her face. "I was wrong about your people." James raised his eyebrows. "Oh?" She nodded slowly. "You may be uncivilized, but this food is art." Valen chuckled. "I can't feel my mouth, but I don't care." Zira looked at James. "Why didn't you serve this at our arrival?" James smirked. "Would you have eaten it?" The girls all looked away, pretending to ignore the truth. But later that night, the mood changed. Thalara stood alone in the hallway, staring at her reflection in a mirror. She touched her lips slowly. "Why does it feel like more than food?" She remembered her dreams from the night before. Visions of golden cheese melting like stars, of warm circles floating through space. Her body didn't feel the same. Her skin was warmer. Her heart beat faster around James, and every part of her screamed for more pizza. Could it be addictive? No, that was impossible. Unless the humans were using this food as a tool. A tool to win hearts? Her eyes narrowed. She had to find out the truth. The next morning, Thalara woke early. She walked to James's room and knocked. He opened the door, surprised. "Good morning, Princess," he said. "Is everything okay?" She looked serious. "I need access to your food database." He blinked. "Excuse me?" "For science," she said firmly. "I need to study pizza history, chemical breakdown, emotional influence, all of it." James smiled. "Of course, for study purposes." That day, she sat at the computer for hours. She learned that pizza came from Earth's old nation called Italy, that soldiers, students, kings, and children all loved it, that there were thousands of types and debates about toppings, She also found thousands of videos of humans crying while eating pizza, laughing with friends, or eating alone in the rain. She couldn't explain why, but it made her heart ache. Was this strange food connected to human emotion? Was that why it felt like magic? That night, Thalara sat quietly, deep in thought. She whispered to herself, "This is dangerous." Valen peeked in. "You still thinking about pizza?" Thalara didn't answer. Valen grinned. "You're falling in love with it." Zira joined in. "No, she's falling for the maker of it." Thalara turned red. Zalari purple. "Ridiculous," she snapped. "I am simply observing." But her voice wasn't strong and her hand still smelled like garlic. In his room, James typed a new note. Princess Thalara now treating pizza like an alien relic. Emotional shifts detected, psychological impact growing. He smiled. Tomorrow he had a surprise planned. Something called Make Your Own Pizza Day. And he knew they would never be the same again. Thalara couldn't sleep. Her room was dark, silent, but her mind burned. She turned on her side, then the other. Her eyes remained open, wide. She had eaten pizza 3 times that week, and each time, something inside her changed. Not just her body, but her thoughts, her feelings. She wasn't dreaming of stars anymore. She was dreaming of dough, melting cheese, red sauce. James's voice sang, "Want another slice?" And she always said yes. The next morning, Thalara stood in front of the mirror. She studied her reflection carefully. Something looked different. Her cheeks had color. Her eyes were softer. Her shoulders, usually sharp with pride, now curved with a strange warmth. Was she smiling? She slapped her own face gently. "Focus." "Downstairs?" Velen groaned, holding her stomach. "My body, it feels like it's growing." Zira poked at her sides. "Is this what they call soft?" James entered, holding a small silver box. "Good morning, ladies." Thalara narrowed her eyes. "You?" James blinked. "Me?" "I need answers," she said seriously. "And a lab." He laughed. "You want a lab?" "Yes, immediately." "Why?" She stepped closer. "Because there's something inside your pizza." Valen raised a hand. "Besides cheese?" Thalara snapped. "Something that affects the mind." James raised both eyebrows. "You think pizza is mind control?" She didn't laugh. She stared. James slowly set the silver box down. "Okay then, I'll take you to the EarthGov research lab, but be warned, it's just food, no magic, no tricks." "We'll see," Thalara said. Later that day, EarthGov lab, the lab was white, quiet, and cold. Inside, scientists in coats blinked as 3 tall alien princesses entered, led by James. Thalara handed them a sealed pizza sample. "I want full breakdown, chemicals, elements, hormonal triggers." The lead scientist nodded. "As you wish." Hours passed. The lab tested the crust, cheese, sauce, and even the grease. Finally, the scientist returned with a data pad. "Well?" Thalara asked. The man shrugged. "It's food, that's all. No chemicals beyond natural fats and spices. Salt, levels are high. Cheese contains tryptophan. The sauce has sugar. The bread triggers serotonin. It's normal Earth comfort food." Thalara stared. "Comfort food? Food that makes humans happy." Back at the guest home, Thalara stood outside alone. Wind brushed her silver hair. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Then why does it feel like something more?" She clenched her fists. "I don't trust it." She turned to go inside. But then she heard something strange. Laughter. Human laughter. She peeked through the window. Inside, James was teaching Velen and Zira how to make pizza dough. Their glowing hands were covered in flour. Sauce dripped on their robes. They were laughing like children, loud and free. And James? He was smiling too. For a moment, Thalara's breath caught. Why does it look like they're happy? And why did it hurt? She turned away quickly. That night, Thalara sat alone in her room again. But this time, she wasn't thinking about pizza. She was thinking about humans. And something inside her chest ached. Is this what humans feel when they eat it? Not just taste, but connection? She remembered her own people, how cold their dinners were, how quiet their halls were. No laughter, no sharing, just control, perfection, rules, no joy. The next morning, she made a decision. She walked into the kitchen and found James. I want to make one, she said. He looked up from the counter. Make what? She took a deep breath. Pizza. He smiled softly. You sure? Yes, but this time, I want to choose the ingredients. James stepped aside. Then the kitchen is yours. Thalara worked slowly, carefully. She chose a thin crust, spicy sauce, no meat, only bright red peppers and white mushrooms. She placed it in the oven and waited. When the timer beeped, she pulled it out. Steam rose into her face. She sliced it, took one piece and ate. And when she did, she cried. Just one tear. Velen and Zyra watched from the doorway. She's gone mad, Velen whispered. No, Zyra said. She's gone human. James approached gently. You okay? Thalara wiped her eye quickly. It's the spice. James chuckled. Of course. She didn't explain, she didn't need to, because now she understood something even deeper. Pizza wasn't a weapon, it wasn't magic. It was something her people had forgotten long ago. It was warmth. It was comfort. It was love. In the distance, a message arrived from the Zalari Empress, a warning. Earth food is changing you, return immediately. Thalara looked at the screen, then at her pizza, then at James. And she whispered, I'm not ready to go home yet. The day began with silence. Not peace, heavy silence. Thalara sat at the edge of the garden, her hands resting on her lap. Her long silver robe moved softly in the breeze, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, where the sky met the towers of the human district. Behind her, Velen and Zyra paced nervously. She hasn't spoken since the Empress's message, Velen whispered. She didn't even finish her slice last night, Zyra replied, worried. That had never happened before. Inside the guest house, James sat, with his tablet, reading the latest diplomatic orders. Zalari Imperial Command immediate return requested. Earth cuisine is interfering with royal behavior. Cultural shift unacceptable. He looked up at the kitchen. Empty. No laughter today. No flower fights. No mozzarella strings being pulled between teeth. Just silence. Later that afternoon, Thalara finally spoke. I want to see where it comes from. James blinked. Where what comes from? The origin, she said, standing up slowly. The place where humans first made pizza. James scratched the back of his head. That's Italy. Take us. Velen raised an eyebrow. We're not allowed to travel out of the sector. Thalara didn't blink. Then we leave at night. That night, under the cover of darkness, a small civilian shuttle launched quietly from the EarthGov pad. Destination, Naples, Italy. The city of ovens. The heart of Earth's pizza. They landed just after midnight. James led them through cobbled streets, old stone walls, and neon-lit corners filled with laughing humans. The smell of baked bread and garlic floated in the air like music. They stopped in front of a tiny shop with a wooden sign. Luigi's, since 2083. A bell rang as they entered. Behind the counter stood an old man with a white beard and a wide smile. Ah, foreigners, yes? He said cheerfully. You're lucky. Still got dough left. James smiled. Luigi, these are alien princesses from another world, and they've come for pizza. Luigi's eyes sparkled. Then I must give them something special. Thalara watched him work. His hands moved with love. No machines, just fingers, flour, and fire. He told stories while the dough spun. He laughed. He sang. And finally, he placed a golden pie before them. The crust thin, the cheese bubbling, the basil leaves fresh. "This," he said, "is what we call margarita." The first, Thalara picked up a slice slowly. She took a bite and closed her eyes for a moment. Everything disappeared. The galaxy, her title, the rules, the crown. All she could feel was warmth. She opened her eyes, and they were full of tears again. Luigi blinked. "Oh no, too spicy?" She shook her head. "No," she whispered, "too real." Zira and Valen were already eating their third, slices, lips oily, giggles escaping between bites. Luigi leaned close to James. "You gave them this before?" James nodded. "They mocked it. Now they crave it." Luigi laughed. Pizza always wins." After they finished, the girls stood outside the shop, silent under the stars. James waited quietly. Then Thalara spoke. "James." He turned. "Need more." James smiled gently. "I can get more." She shook her head. "I don't mean the food." She stepped closer. "I mean more moments like this, more laughter, more warmth, more humanity." Valine spoke next, surprising them all. "I don't want to go back. Our home has silence, steel, and rules. But here, I tasted life." Zira nodded. "We mocked this world, but it welcomed us, it fed us, it changed us." James looked down at his communicator. More alerts. EarthGov. Return them immediately. Political pressure rising. Zalari command. Punishment for cultural contamination. Confirmed. Do not allow emotional bonding. He looked at the three glowing girls in front of him. Not princesses now, just people. Hungry for something their world couldn't give them. And then Thalara said the words that hit him like lightning. "If they take us away, James, will you come with us?" He froze. All of Earth's rules said no. But the look in her eyes said everything. Not power, not royalty, hope. Before he could answer, the sky above flashed. 3 silver ships appeared, Zalari patrol craft. Thalara looked up, heart pounding. "They came for us," Zira growled. "They'll take us, lock us in chambers, clean our minds." Valen clenched her fists. "They'll erase the taste, the memory, everything." Thalara looked at James one last time. "Please, don't let them take this from us." James opened his comm link to EarthGov and said just 3 words. "We're not done." The Zalari patrol ships hovered above, Naples like silver blades in the sky. Their engines made no sound, but everyone could feel them. Cold, watching, waiting. Thalara stood in the alley behind Luigi's pizza shop, her cloak pulled tight. Feline and Zira crouched beside her, faces tense. James leaned against the wall, eyes on the sky. "We don't have much time," he said quietly. "If they scan the building, they'll find us." Feline whispered. "They won't just take us. They'll wipe us." Zira nodded. "Clean our minds, erase Earth, erase pizza." Thalara clenched her fists. "No, I won't forget." Inside the ship above them, a strict voice echoed. "All Zalari royal units must return now. Earth contamination has reached level red. Human bonding and consumption of their emotional foods is now classified as cultural infection. Pizza is forbidden." Those final words echoed like a curse. Pizza is forbidden. James led the girls through dark side streets. They had changed their robes for local clothes, hoodies, jeans, scarves. They looked almost human now, almost invisible, but not to the machines. Watching from above, at any moment they could be tagged, pulled in, silenced. They reached an old warehouse by the port. Inside, the smell of tomato and garlic still floated from their stolen slices. James lit a small lamp. Thalara sat down heavily on a crate. Her face was pale. "I never thought food could be banned." James sat across from her. "This isn't about food anymore." She looked up. "Then what is it about?" He didn't answer. He just opened the last pizza box from Luigi's shop. Steam rose. Do you still want it? He asked. Thalara reached forward, took one slice, held it like a memory. Then slowly, she set it down. I want more than the slice, she whispered. I want freedom to choose it. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed from above. Thalara of Zalari, surrender immediately. Your mind is not yet fully damaged. Felon stood. What do we do? James looked at the girls. You still have a choice. Go with them. Or stay here and risk everything. Zira looked at her greasy hands, then at her friends. If we leave, we lose this. Valen's eyes filled with tears. We lose who we are becoming. Thalara stood slowly. I will not go back as a puppet. She walked to James. If I go, I take Earth with me. Suddenly the roof exploded. A Zalari capture drone descended, shining bright blue lights. The girls shielded their eyes. Metal arms reached down, fast, sharp. One wrapped around Thalara's waist. James didn't think. He ran forward, grabbed the drone's arm, and threw a slice of pizza into its lens. Cheese smeared. Steam sizzled. The drone jerked, confused. Valen screamed. Zara grabbed a broomstick and swung. The girls fought back, not with weapons, but with pizza boxes, sauce jars, and human rage. The drone sparked and crashed. Silence returned. Then, Thalara started laughing. Real laughter. Not royal. Not fake. Just free. Later they sat in the quiet warehouse. Around them were broken pieces of the drone. The smell of burning circuits mixed with oregano. James bandaged his arm. Thalara looked at him. You didn't run. You didn't either, he replied. I can't go home, she said softly. Then don't. But they'll come again. Then we'll be ready. She leaned closer. This all started because of one food. One silly food. James shook his head. No. It started because no one ever gave you the right to feel full. She stared at him and whispered, Then make me full, human, not just with food, but with life. Outside the stars watched, and high above, the Zalari Empress slammed her fist against her throne. If she refuses to return, then we send the final order. Bring her home, or destroy what makes her stay. The Earth sky was still dark when the final order arrived. A Zalari dreadnought, a massive ship shaped like a silver dagger, descended over the Italian coast. Its shadow covered the sea. Lights blinked, cannons hummed. It wasn't here for a visit. It was here for removal. Inside the warehouse, Thalara felt it before she saw it. A deep pressure behind her eyes, a call inside her bones. Valen gasped. That's Mother's ship, Zira whispered. She came herself. James tightened his grip on the last pizza cutter. Thalara stood. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. Outside, the sky tore open as a voice echoed over Earth. Thalara, daughter of the Zalari Empress, your time with the humans ends now. You are to return immediately, or your little pizza world will be turned to ash. James stepped forward, chest rising with each breath. This is your choice, he said. But whatever happens, I stand with you. Thalara looked at him, then looked at the others, then at her hands, still stained with sauce. She stepped outside. Facing the ship, she shouted loud and clear, No. The entire street went silent. Then the Empress's voice replied, Then I must take away what you love. A beam of blue light shot from the ship, straight at Luigi's pizza shop. Boom! The ground shook, smoke rose. No! Valen screamed. They destroyed it! James ran toward the rubble. Flames crackled. The small restaurant, the place where they had tasted life, was now ash. Thalara fell to her knees. Her hands dug into the dust. Why? Behind her, the dreadnought engines powered again. Velen gritted her teeth. She's not going to stop. Zira stepped beside her. We have to go up there. We have to face her. 10 minutes later, A message was sent from Earth to the Zalari. Ship. We surrender, but on one condition. Inside the Zalari throne chamber, the Empress sat like ice carved into flesh. Her daughters walked in, quiet, but not broken. Behind them walked James, covered in ash, holding a small, warm box. Thou, Empress narrowed her eyes. You bring him here? Thalara stepped forward. No, mother, he brings something else. James stepped forward, opened the box. The smell filled the chamber. The guards blinked. The Empress flinched. What is that? James spoke firmly, calmly. This is Earth's oldest peace offering. It is soft. It is warm. It needs no weapons, only hands. The Empress stared at it like it was poison. Pizza? James nodded. Made fresh, with love. Silence. Then, slowly, the Empress stood. She walked forward. Picked up one slice. She studied it like a sacred scroll. Then she bit it, chewed once, twice, then froze. Her expression changed. Not anger, not shock, but memory. She looked far away, far back. To be young again. Thalara stepped close. This food changed us, mother, not because of taste, but because it showed us life. Velen added, it made us laugh. Zira said, it made us feel. The Empress stared at the half-eaten slice in her hand. Then, with a long sigh, she turned to James and said, then make him our royal pizza chef. Everyone gasped. James blinked. Wait, what? Thalara smiled. You heard her. Valen giggled. Chef James. Zira clapped. Chef to a galaxy. The Empress raised her hand. Earth has shown me something we have forgotten. If we must have emotions, let them be real. Let this food teach our empire how to feel again. She turned to James. You will cook for kings. You will feed warlords. You will bring peace in slices. Months later, in the center of the Zalari Empire, the royal palace was filled with a new smell. Cheese, garlic. Joy. Children laughed in the halls. Warriors joked at tables. Old enemies shared crusts. And in the center kitchen stood one man, covered in flour, smiling. James, the royal pizza chef. Beside him, Thalara stirred the sauce. She no longer wore a crown, but her eyes were brighter than ever. More basil? She asked. Always, he replied. They laughed together. And outside, across the stars, peace spread, one slice at a time.